Hey everyone, Greg here with Science Studio, and we are back at it with another product review. Meet the newest addition to our camera lineup, the Nikon D5100. Now, it isn't the newest or best camera on the market, but if you can snag it for a great price, you will not be disappointed. Here's our pick for the best budget DSLR camera at $300. So the first thing we did was mount it on our handy tripod, make our way down to the local pond, and test this thing out. We had an 18 to 55mm lens as well as a 70 to 300mm lens so that we could focus on both things far away and close up. So enough of the chit chat, let's get straight to shooting and filming. So I found this squirrel lurking nearby, popped on the large lens. Vibration reduction and autofocus were both active. Next, I pointed the DSLR directly at the sun to have a good look at its aperture and shutter speed abilities. The D51 shutter speed can vary from 1/4000th of a second all the way up to 30 seconds. Shorter exposures are typically used in bright situations, whereas long exposures can be used in especially dark ones. The ISO can also be adjusted anywhere from 100 to 6400. Now, in terms of special added features, selective color is my personal favorite, allowing the user to control which colors show up in a given photo. In this case, I selected only greens to show up, but in the next photo, taken at exactly the same place, I selected only blues to show up. Pretty cool, huh? Next, I compared the image quality of a 16-megapixel Nikon point and shoot to the Nikon DSLR. Both are rated at 16 megapixels. The results were very similar. The D5100 boasts a 23.6 by 15.6mm CMOS sensor, mirrored, which is only average by today's standards, but its lighting capabilities are on par. A cool feature of the D5000 series is that each screen is hinged and movable. The screen can actually swing out a full 180 degrees and also swivel in the vertical up to 270 degrees. This specific orientation makes it a great camera for the occasional YouTuber or dynamic photographer who is always finding his or her way into small, cramped spaces. Nikon put a lot of thought into their standard macro lens. Apart from the excellent image quality, the zoom transitions are smooth and crisp, which comes in handy when filming. I do wish, however, that Nikon had added more rigidity to the manual focus ring, which is made of plastic and is quite sensitive to the touch. This is likely, though, due in part to the integrated autofocus motor within the lens, which would require a less sturdy focus ring. I recommend all novice users keeping the autofocus on if your lens supports it. You can see in this clip here how the continuous autofocus software was able to keep up with my rather novice movements back and forth and occasional zooms. The camera does only have 11-point autofocus detection, but I never noticed it struggle to keep up with where I was going. Battery life is around 600 shots, or about an hour to an hour and a half of video recording. But after an entire day of doing all of this, I'll tell you right now, the battery readout on the camera stayed at a full 3 bars. I was quite impressed. The D5100 boasts a turn dial crammed full of presets, as well as 4 manual modes. The dial just below it can be used to select specific features within each of these presets. A disadvantage to having a swivel screen is limited button placement, but it's a compromise I was willing to make. The simple operating system made the fully manual modes quick and easy to navigate through, but more on that in a sec. The camera supports an external microphone output, a micro GPS add-on since the camera doesn't have a native tracking system built in, a Type-C mini HDMI out, something you really don't see much of, and a mini USB adapter. On the opposite side of the D5100 is support for a single full-size SD card. Okay, so on a quick note back to Nikon's operating system. I have to mention here that I truly love how they integrate a similar design and order in each of their DSLRs. Hopping between this and the D7000 was a piece of cake. If you're a novice, many of these controls won't be difficult to handle. In fact, in several instances in shooting modes, the OS will literally explain to you what a specific function does. So if you have no idea what you're doing, this can certainly come in handy. But now, even if you're a professional photographer, the D5100 offers enough robust versatility to rival a few of the newer DSLRs currently on the market. It isn't the most phenomenal video recorder either, and versatility is limited, but you can shoot in full 1080p at 30 FPS, as well as 720p at 30 FPS if desired. So in conclusion, the Nikon D5100 might be a bit outdated in terms of the features it offers, like the 11-point autofocus detection versus the D7000's 36-point, and like the 16.2 megapixel sensor versus the D3200's 24 megapixel. There are definitely trade-offs when it comes to purchasing any older model product, but the point I want to make here is this. For the price of around $300, you cannot go wrong. Sure, you won't have the newest and best, but the D5100 offers a great incentive package. The sensor is still stellar, the battery life is great, color depth and picture quality are on point, and the swivel screen it's pretty much just like the icing on the cake. It's a great camera for anyone looking to shoot the night sky, a son or daughter soccer game, or a wedding. Our advice? Don't spend thousands of dollars on new, ultra fancy cameras unless you absolutely have to. Do what we did and pick up a secondhand DSLR that's been taken care of and only a few years old. You won't regret the money you'll save or the performance you'll reap. This is Science Studio. Thanks for learning with us.